Did you know that it was not until just this year that the first rapper was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame? Well, according to the New York Times, it was just last month, on June 15, 2017, that Jay-Z became the first rapper to be inducted into this elite group of artists. Many critics have tried to write off hip-hop by calling it just a fad, as something not worthy of recognition or respect. Jay-Z's induction into the Songwriters Hall of Fame, however, shows a big step in changing that line of thinking. Nielsen Music, who is an authority on music industry data, recently released info showing that hip-hop and R&B, which it groups as one category, is now the most popular genre of music in the United States. And that's the first time that this has happened in history. So it really shows how much hip-hop is growing and having an impact on the music industry as well as popular culture. Hip-hop is something I'm both fascinated by and passionate about. I'm an avid listener of hip-hop, and I also enjoy writing and producing my own hip-hop music. Now, in my survey, many of you said you agreed to the statement that you enjoy listening to hip-hop music. However, most of you also said that you were not familiar with the history of hip-hop. So it is my goal today to give you a better understanding and a deeper appreciation of hip-hop music and hip-hop culture. I will start off by giving you a definition of hip-hop and its elements. Next, I will give a brief history of the rise of hip-hop music. And then finally, I will explain sampling, a technique that is central to hip-hop music. So to start, it is imperative that we all know exactly what hip-hop is. According to the Grove Dictionary of American Music, hip-hop is a collective term used to describe the various urban art forms developed in New York City in the 1970s. And hip-hop is surrounded by four elements. These original elements are DJing, MCing, b-boying, and graffiti writing. Now I'm going to go ahead and define the first three elements to make sure I don't lose you later on. The first element, DJing, is whenever a person known as a DJ manipulates two record turntables simultaneously to create continuous breakbeats. So they're playing the same section of a song over and over again by playing it on one and then the other, and then back and forth like that to continue the beat. MCing is whenever an MC rhymes over these breakbeats created by a DJ. This is also known as rapping, although it didn't start off being called that. And then b-boying or b-girling, the third element, is done whenever b-boys and b-girls dance to the beats made by DJs. And this is commonly known as breakdancing. Now the Grove Dictionary recognizes that hip-hop has changed and expanded from these original elements to become a global phenomenon that also includes fashion, language, and lifestyle. Now that we have defined hip-hop as a unique artistic culture, let's take a look at the history of hip-hop music. As I mentioned earlier, it has its roots in 1970s New York City. The Grove Dictionary mentions socioeconomic factors that began hip-hop, or that helped fuel hip-hop, which was a weak economy, high unemployment, and depleted social services in impoverished areas. It was in the wake of these events that New York City youth tapped into new creative outlets to express their struggles and their victories. DJ Kool Herc, who's considered the father of hip-hop, and other DJs in New York, hosted neighborhood parties where MCs would come to rhyme over their beats, and b-boys and b-girls would come to dance. By the mid-1980s, however, this DJ-centered focus on hip-hop began to shift to a more MC-centric style of hip-hop. This was because MCs were more marketable. And because of this, DJs ended up focusing more on music production instead of traditional forms of DJing. As production technology continues to be innovated, many aspects of hip-hop production have evolved. And this brings me to my final topic, the technique of sampling. The Grove Dictionary defines sampling as borrowing musical sections from recorded material for use in new musical compositions. Now, sampling, as you could see, really connects to the beginning, the roots of hip-hop, whenever artists would take other songs and then loop the beat together to create a new work. But they were using other people's songs and sampling it, essentially. By the 1980s, sampling expanded even more with the rise of sampling technology and the digital sampler. The digital sampler could digitize sounds and even change the pitch and tempo of them and layer them over other sounds sampled from various works to create unique works of hip-hop that these artists were making. Now, obviously, when you're taking pieces of other people's songs, this was eventually going to lead to problems with copyright infringement, which it did. To fight these problems, producers and artists would start making licensing agreements with artists that they wanted to sample music from. And this is how sampling continued and is still done today. Some important artists who use sampling today that you would know of include Jay-Z, Kanye West, and Kendrick Lamar, but countless others in the hip-hop industry use sampling even today. So in review, I went over first the definition of hip-hop and its elements, and then I looked at the rise and evolution of hip-hop music. And finally, we looked at the technique of sampling and how it started to where it came to today. Hip-hop has had a long journey from neighborhoods in the South Bronx to being on a global stage today. It is a dominant genre that has really impacted the music industry as well as popular culture. And it's important that we understand where it came from. More than just a fad, hip-hop music is a culture of art and creativity, and it deserves recognition and respect.